Discussing Atlanta season 4 just ended about about a couple months ago now. That Atlanta season 4 ended.
Yeah.
We did a review for season 3 that is up on YouTube if you want to check it out. YouTube.com. Just type in The Afternoon Tune and our review will be there. I've been a big fan of this series since its inception. Donald Glover, with his brother, write for the series, created the series. I think it is really great and surreal. I know Donald Glover has described it as something like Black Twin Peaks. You know what I mean? Kind of something that, I mean, when you watch the show, you'll kind of get what that means. It first started off as, something pretty simple where it was just about, this Brian Tyree character trying to make it as a rapper named Paperboy. Then the series has kind of turned into something completely else about just exploring kind of all these different things and surrealism and race and just relationships and everything like that. And I think it's funny. I was hearing somebody talk about the show and say it's funny that the show is about a rapper, but you've never actually heard him rap. Like, I don't think ever throughout the show you actually have ever seen a performance of Paperboy. I don't think. Like, it's funny that this show...
he always is about to go on. Yeah, he's always about to go on or just finished, and they talk about it, but they never actually show him rapping.
Yeah. That's just very funny to me. Like, that's what this whole show is about. Is like you actually don't ever see him actually rap once in the entire series. And yeah, and they did this in season 3. They continue to do it here in season 4, where a lot of episodes, they'll just completely divert from the main plot, and they'll go away from the main characters and kind of do these like almost like Twilight Zone episodes, where it's like these different themes. Like you saw that in season 3 where they did the reparations episode. Here in season 4, they do an episode which is about the Goofy movie. It was like a fake documentary about the creation of the Goofy movie, and it's this dude his goal was to create the blackest movie ever made, and he ended up like going insane and shit like that. Like, just really kind of crazy stuff like that. That's just really just incredibly funny and humorous. And I actually kind of love that stuff. So what kind of some of your thoughts with season 4 and just the series as a whole? What kind of your thoughts on Atlanta?
I think the description of a black Twin Peaks is really accurate. Actually, it starts off very mundane at first, pretty mundane. It's the characters start off grounded, and it really takes just a little bit. But there's a few things that just happen that are kind of a little odd or strange, and you're like, okay, well maybe this is the place they live in. You just got to get used to it. But then as the series kind of progresses, they start really going all in on the surrealism and the wide margin of different topics they talk about, and it almost just becomes more than what the title even for the series is. I mean, even last season they were in Europe for an entire season, dealing with that aspect of it, and then this one they come back home and they're dealing with other aspects of it. But this season definitely felt more surreal than the others, even more just strange. One of the first episodes is just dealing with clues left behind by a deceased rapper, and that's just going on a scavenger hunt, and a area that both Ern and Van get lost in Atlantic Station, and they're just meeting up with all their different exes, and they end up finding the exit in a funeral home. You're like, what? And that really, I think, culminates by the end of the series. Without spoiling anything, it really does end on a very. It's interesting to see where a kind of a sitcom where they even make fun of the "it was all a dream" ending of a sitcom.
Yeah.
Where sometimes as like a cop out, they would go, "Oh, it was all a dream," and this one they play with. Even at the very last episode, they play with that whole idea. Was it all a dream? Doesn't matter. It didn't matter.
Yeah. It's funny
it does. They don't really say anything.
Yeah, they kind of do that. Yeah, that kind of terrible ending that some people do. That they say, was it all a dream? Was it not? You know what I mean? I guess if you don't know how to end the story, it's like try to add some kind of fake thing in that to kind of like go
Yeah.
people like, oh, maybe was it real? Was it not? You know what I mean? That type of shit. Um,
Yeah. Go ahead.
yeah. So I thought that was kind of fun the way they play with that with Lakeith Stanfield's character, and then again them bringing up like real life things in this season. They'll do that. They'll draw heavily from real life, from the music industry, from the news. Like you had I think it was in the first episode or maybe the second episode where you had Lakeith Stanfield, speaking of him, where it was referencing the riots that had went on and that woman that was in the wheelchair. If I forgot exactly what riot it was, but it was like the one where people were going in the Target, I believe it was, and then they were all rushing out, and there was like a woman who was like in a wheelchair trying to block the entrance, and they kind of reference that in here, and that's really funny what they do with that. Like she ends up like stalking him throughout the whole episode, like following him everywhere, and you know what I mean. I thought that was like really good with the way they'll do that. So the way they play with a lot of pop culture stuff, if you follow the news a lot, if you follow kind of a lot of, especially in the music scene too, a lot of stuff they do, it kind of makes a little bit of a reference to like stuff like MF Doom with you mentioned the rapper's death, who like left all these clues and things like that. A person who was a little bit bigger, kind of more in kind of like his anonymity a little bit, like if you really follow music, and the fact that he kind of had these different impersonators that would kind of go and perform for him, since he was a guy that would wear a mask and everything like that. So I kind of love a lot of different stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. You were trying to finish a point about something there before I started there.
Oh no. They even talk about. They even mentioned a Goofy movie in one episode.
Yeah.
The blackest movie of all time.
That was really good. They mentioned the Goofy movie episode, because it touches on a lot of things. Like I said, the Goofy movie being a big thing. I know a lot of millennials really love the Goofy movie like that. I think I've maybe seen it once. I've seen maybe the Goofy movie maybe once. I think, if I can't, but I can't remember anything. We should probably do a review on it because I haven't seen it.
Good movie.
So it was called The Goof Who Sat by the Door. That was the Goofy movie episode. Again, it's like I said, they'll do these kind of weird, kind of like, just divert from the, main episode. Don't have any of the, main cast members of the show, and kind of just do these one-off episodes. So if they ever did did their own kind of like Twilight Zone or Black Mirror or something, I would love to see that. If Stephen Glover, Don Glover did that, I would absolutely love to see that. And when I did season 3 with Jenna, who's been a frequent special guest on the show, she mentioned that like Stephen Glover should probably write for Jordan Peele. Like I think having a guy like some of the writers of Atlanta would do great with a Jordan Peele direction, and like a Jordan Peele film. I think that would be really great to see, and everything like that. And it doesn't surprise me that they're ending the show with season 4, and they did 3 and 4 back to back, because I mean everybody from this show is basically blown up. Basically, I mean Zazie Beetz, Brian Tyree Henry's, Lakeith Stanfield. Like every other movie, it seems like one of them is in it. Like this year, like Brian Tyree Henry and both Zazie Beetz were both in Bullet Train this year, which was the Brad Pitt movie, and everything like that. So, and Lakeith Stanfield, he's always in a bunch of stuff. Like he was in the first Knives Out film. He was in Uncut Gems. He was in the Cowboy movie last year, The Harder They Fall. Like he's always, which also included Zazie Beetz as another person too. Also included her. She was also in The Harder They Fall as well. So, they're blowing up. I mean, they're really everywhere now. So hey, great for them. Brian Tyree, he's getting those Marvel checks. He was in the Eternals and everything. And Donald Glover always probably has all these different projects that he's probably doing. Like I think isn't he supposed to be doing like a Lando show? Isn't that? Aren't they trying to do that with him?
They've been. It's like a rumor. They haven't. I don't know if they've officially announced it yet.
Okay, I think yeah, they say rumors or something. They're trying to do like a Lando show, or something like that. I think if you haven't watched this show, I think I highly recommend checking it out. I mean, it is peak television. FX does a lot of great stuff, for TV and a lot of things. They have a new show out right now. It's also really good called The Bear. I want to do a review on that. pretty soon,
Mm.
because I'm hearing a lot of great things like about that. But the great thing about Atlanta is, you know what I mean, they have, I think, some of the best episodes maybe in television history. Like, the people remember the Teddy Perkins episode, which I actually just rewatched recently, and how amazing that episode was, and the performance from Glover in that, and kind of all the kind of different, and you had people who really dissected every little, you know, minute of the episode and was like, what does this mean, and what does this mean, like, what is it touching on, and like I said, bringing up real life musical figures. Like, a lot of that episode was touching on, you know, Michael Jackson and everything, and then even in season 4, you have him touching on, which is clearly a Tyler Perry reference. You know what I mean? Like, it's clearly a Tyler Perry reference where he does like the whole Mr. Chocolate thing, which was really, I thought that was pretty funny. What were some of kind of your favorite episodes from this season?
Uh, I liked the Goofy movie one was funny from the most recent season. I did thought it was funny. The light the episode's even called Light Skinned. It's all about that kind of stuff. Yeah, I think what really turned me on. I liked Atlanta, but I think that Michael Jackson episode was really the one that I was like, okay, all right, this is going somewhere. I want to see where this goes, and it's really interesting because I think if they had ended the series on just a season 2, or they pulled what they ended this series on with in season 2, it would have been very confusing, and I think a lot of people would be disappointed. But in having a season 3 and 4 on top of that heel turn or bits of turns that they were doing, it kind of got you ready for. They're just gonna end in a really. They're just gonna end it in a strange way. There's no way they can't. Like, a conventional ending was basically not even in the cards anymore after a certain point in the series. So it was really only. I mean, the only way they could really surprise anybody was it being like an actually conventional ending.
Mm.
But that's my hot take on it.
Yeah. Yeah, like you say, yeah, I mean, this show, the path it was going down, I mean, you know what I mean, just the show that's just such a, like, kind of slice of life type thing, and in this weird kind of life that happens with all these different characters, it wasn't going to end in this, you know, traditional way and everything. And seeing it and seeing how it kind of all played out was great to watch, and I'm sad to see the show go, for sure. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like I said, how really genius it was. And I think some of my favorite episodes. I think, like I said, you mentioned the Goofy episode. Who was the goof that who was set by the door? I thought that was a really great episode. The Tyler Perry episode, which was work ethic, which even the title of the episode is in reference to something that Tyler Perry actually
Yeah.
said before about, you know, he made a video about all that.
Yeah, I
about,
got it wrong. It's not light skinned, it's work ethic.
So that, I thought, you know, that was, I mean, it was such a clear, you know, parody of him doing Tyler Perry and everything like that. I don't think it was maybe the best. I mean, but I still thought it was kind of fun that kind of they did with that. This season exploring more of, like, Donald Glover and his relationship with Zazie Beetson, and who's, you know, you saw at the beginning of the series was like his baby mama and things like that. In this, kind of they explore more of that, like the episode where they go camping, which is one of the more normal episodes of Atlanta you'll ever see. Just the episode where they just do camping together with him and his daughter. I thought that was a very sweet episode. And a break from the traditional kind of craziness that Atlanta kind of gets into, which was pretty nice.
Yeah. They kind of end up in a really kind of normal-ish place from where they started. Between the relationship between him and her, it's still strange, but hey, it's Atlanta.
Yeah. Yeah, and especially because she had a great episode, Zazie Beetz, in season 3, where it was just focused on her character in France. And then, you know, where her friends came to visit, and then that was the episode with Alexander Skarsgård. It was like her side dude and everything like that. Like like that was kind of a really kind of funny episode there they did with that, and a very emotional episode too, of like her trying to find a place for herself, you know what I mean? Of like just trying to be this, this mother, and then also like trying to have an identity of her own. I thought that was very interesting. It gave her character way more depth and way more things I think than she had to do previously. Um, I tell you, one of my funniest moments of this season was the episode where it was with Brian Tyree Henry, where he's in the mall and he's trying to go incognito. And you know what I mean? He's trying to hide there, and then the people instantly spot him because they're like, well, who the fuck just wears a cap with no logo on it? Like, who the fuck just does that? You know what I mean? Sunglasses and the cap, but just no logo. And they said over there is Chris Evans, and they actually talked to Chris Evans about it. And he's like, yeah, I would have showed up if they asked me. I would have played that part if they asked me to. I would have came through. And I would imagine, yeah, it would have. I mean, that if you can get Alexander Skarsgård, I wouldn't imagine it. You could have maybe gotten Chris Evans if you could get
Chris
him.
Evans is a cool dude. He would have just been like, oh yeah, just show up.
Yeah, sure. I love the blacks. I show up. Yeah, why not? And it was the way that whole mall scene ended, because it's really great. Atlanta's really great at doing some great setup, because simultaneously while you have the mall scene, you also have Donald Glover and Lakeith Stanfield, who's in the van trying to get some shoes, and then the dude who's selling the shoes wants them to kiss. And then you do the setup of this guy who works in the mall who is being dropped off by his girlfriend or wife, and you see that he wants to be a rapper himself, and he's like, well, where this is going to go. And then where it ends is just incredibly funny, because like some shooter comes into the mall. I know that's, hold on, hear me out here. I know that's, maybe, mall shootings aren't funny, but you have that, and then everybody in the mall is strapped. So you even have a woman who's in a stroller who pulls out a gun, and then, you know what I mean? That's kind of a funny moment. And then you have a moment where the dude who works at the mall hears about Paperboy being there, tries to rap for him, and then Paperboy just immediately just throws him into a glass window where he just is in his way, which I died laughing at. I thought that shit was absolutely hysterical. And then one of the bullets from the shooter or whoever ends up killing the guy that's in the van that's trying to make Donald Glover and Lakeith Stanfield kiss each other. So I think a lot of the setups for the jokes that they do is very good and very smart in kind of the way they do that. That I think pay off a lot of times. What are some of your favorite things about Atlanta there?
Like I said before, I know I agree with you wholeheartedly. I like that they set. I think what's really difficult in comedy, and especially this kind of strange humor, is that they play off of. Is I like how they play off each other, and I like how there's always, usually, not always, but usually a setup of a main story, and then the vignettes that they all go off of usually have a payoff in some way or another. They all kind of lead into it. And I always like seeing, it's like watching them setting up dominoes and seeing how are they going to fall.
Mm-hmm.
And that's always like the most interesting aspect of Atlanta to me, is they understand the structure of a good episode and payoff, but not complete payoff where it's there's nothing left to explore in a character. They go, they're just in a situation, and how did these characters react to it? And it's the scenario that makes it kind of funny and their reactions to it. And everyone does such a good job, and they play off of each other in different scenarios that, yeah, it just worked. I mean, honestly, I don't know much more I can really say about it, but that I'll miss the show, and I'll miss that how solid the writing was for television, and just something we don't get much of anymore.
Yeah.
Where a funny sitcom that understands a comedy setup and payoff.
Yeah.
Or even just strange stories that are just like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like I said,
I mean, how sad, how funny, and how sad is that? It's like, a guy tries to rob the mall, and but everyone's strapped. That also says kind of where we are in America right now, in that everybody's strapped. Everybody's ready for something like that.
Yeah. I mean, the show had such a good commentary on, kind of what was kind of going on and a lot of things like that. And always tons of people who wanted to look at the show, examine the show, dissect the show, like we're doing now, because of so many good
Yeah.
things. And even in the, like I said, there's so many good things even in the last episode, like the last episode, which discussed, like, what does it mean to be black, because you had a character that was very, very light skinned and everything like that. And that explored kind of different themes like that. For me, I mean, I'm gonna give my rating for it. I think this is
Yeah.
cinema. I know it's on TV, but this is
Mhm.
this is great stuff. And I absolutely really love this series. Love the performances in it. Love the writing of it. I mean, some of the smartest writing I've seen in the past 5-10 years, maybe on a show,
Mhm.
or just maybe period. Yeah, absolutely fantastic. This is cinema for Atlanta for me. What about you?
Uh, I can't give it anything below a tune in. I can't bear it to give it below that. Really, it's just a measure of how much do I really consider it as this is cinema. Uh, Honestly, as television shows go, from the consistency of how things have gone, and even to my own tastes, regardless of how it is, what episodes I liked or liked more than others, and ones I didn't. There was a lot of effort put into this show, and a lot of it I don't get to see often anymore. And I think that's will be what I will miss the most. I'll miss just knowing, oh, we got another season in Atlanta. There's something else to look forward to. Oh,
Mm,
it's like one less thing to look forward to in that way. Which all things good must come to an end. But you are sad to see it go. I don't know if I can give this is cinema, but I can definitely give it a high tune in. I
mm,
think if you're just casually interested in this show, you may not completely fall in love with Atlanta as like we do, but I think for just a person who's just willing to give the show a chance, I think you'll find a lot to take in with it.
mm. Nice. Yeah, totally agree. Hi, tune in, and this is cinema for Atlanta.